Are you winning? Do you need help in your life or business? Could you use some inspiration, business strategies, and success principles? I'm Daniel Gomez, award-winning business coach, keynote speaker, and best-selling author. On the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, we will help you create a successful life and elevate your business. Together, we will discover the keys that unlock your success and dreams. Welcome back to another episode of the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show. We motivate you, we inspire you. And today we're going to educate you even more. I'll tell you what, we got a special treat for you today, a special person today. I'll tell you what, I was able to share the stage with him here not too long ago on a huge stage where he was just amazing, dynamic, and he had a lot of knowledge. So I want to welcome to the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show my great friend and brother, Rocky Garza. What's up, my brother?
What's up, my man? Thank you, sir. So appreciate you. I'm glad to finally be on the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show.
Man, I'll tell you what, dude, it was just great bonding with you. I want to say this to the audience. First of all, is people say you don't meet real friends on Facebook and Instagram, and I met you on Clubhouse, Instagram, and all these things. But when I met you in person, it was like it was an even closer bondage, man. And I just want to say thank you for being you, brother. So I know the beautiful person you are, the amazing person you are. Do me a favor, introduce yourself to the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show.
Yeah, I appreciate you. My name is Rocky Garza. I'm from Dallas, Texas. I've been married to my wife 14 years as of about a month ago, and I've got 2 kids. I've got a 7-year-old boy and an almost 5-year-old girl. And I've been in the entrepreneur space for about the last 15 years or so, in a variety of things and ways and businesses and professions. But ultimately, if somebody dials in and says, "Hey man, what do you do?" I'm a truth teller, I'm a challenger, and I'm a belief creator. To me, those are the 3 ways in every aspect of my life, and at home, as a husband, as a father, as a friend, as a leader in our organization, and having my own business and real estate and all those things. Those 3 words I feel like really encapsulate me, what I am doing, what I love, and really trying to find avenues that I can live out that language for what I do through my values, through my strengths, and trying to help individuals uncover the stories that potentially are binding us and preventing us from having clarity and freedom in who we are to deeply pursue a life we believe in.
And you're awesome too.
Thank you. I'll take it.
Well, I'll tell you what, I had the chance to just really spend some time with Rocky and his mastermind there that we had at the Moment Conference. And so I'm going to tell you earlier, get out your pen, get out your paper, because what he's going to drop right now, you want to definitely take notes. And of course, like I always say, what you write down here in the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, you're going to retain even more, because what you write down stays in your subconscious mind. And not only that, I want you to go back and study your notes, because Rocky's going to drop some gems. He's going to drop some golden nuggets, and I definitely don't want you to miss it. And Rocky, as you were introducing yourself, you said a word that stuck out to me, right? You're the truth connector. And why do you think so many people are scared of the truth? Or maybe they ask for your advice. Hey, Rocky, what's going on? Tell me the truth. And then they hear it, and then it's not what they want. So, well, you know what? Let me go run to Daniel. Let me go run to somebody else, because it didn't go. Why do you think so many people hide themselves or don't deal with the truth from your experience, my brother?
Yeah, I think in my experience often, and I will literally speak from my experience, because obviously I can't or put words in anybody else's mouth. But when it comes to why does the truth for many of us either put us in, and it's our natural human response, right? Like fight, flight, or freeze. I think the truth does that to us. So the truth by default allows us to either fight, and we fight against it to go, that's not me. You don't know me. You don't know anything about me. And I think that's a human reaction because we feel seen, right? Think about it with kids. And I'm not trying to say that we are like children, but I think they're a beautiful picture for our own self-reflection, right? Our kids are great mirrors to us in our life. When our kid does something and reflects back the truth to us, what's our inclination as a parent? As a parent, we've said something, you got to do this and be like this and act like this. And then they go, well, that's not what you said before, or that's not what my teacher said, or that's not what you said was true. And all of a sudden our natural inclination is what? Defense. Well, because we feel seen, we feel exposed, and we have these negative connotations that tend to get They become, we make them synonymous with negative things, with negative words, with negative feelings, with bad, with hard, when ultimately I think when the truth is exposed, if we can allow ourselves, even just the phrase I say is space. We need space. We need a momentary pause to assess what is not good, not bad, not positive, not negative, just a moment of space to say what is. And if we can find truth and then we can give ourselves space, typically we don't fight, flight, or freeze. We can create enough distance to go, wait a second. Have I now been made aware of something that I have longed for? And that awareness now can give me the opportunity to take some kind of action to move forward in my life. Most of us hesitate on that because the awareness is what leads to the opportunity to do something different. And as much as we all say we want to grow and we want to change, we know that change requires daily behavior to be different. And daily behavior changing is hard because we like to do what we like to do our way. And so when people meet you or they meet me and we're faced with truth, oftentimes we're like, nah, not today. I don't think so. I don't know. I'm not sure, because that awareness forces us to either make the conscious decision, I'm going to ignore it, or the conscious decision, I have to do something different. And both of those are really hard.
Boom, baby. What did I tell you? Get out your pens again, ladies and gentlemen. Write that down. Is that you? Maybe you really, really were in a position in your life, in your business, where you needed help, and somebody came and they shined a flashlight on of truth and you didn't like it. And maybe your pride and your ego got in the way. And nah, Rocky, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know me. Nah, Daniel, you don't. Yeah. You don't know. You don't understand. You're not in my situation. You're not. But the truth is that you don't want to deal with the truth. So I encourage everybody right now, write this down. What truth am I not dealing with? What truth am I not dealing with at a deeper level? And yeah, maybe you acknowledge it on the surface level, but deeper, are you really going deeper to the next level? Or maybe you're getting mad at your wife, you're getting mad at your husband. You're like, instead of really listening to what maybe God's trying to say through your spouse, you're upset because it's the truth. And now you flare up in anger and you flare up in your voice because the truth sometimes hurts. Let me ask you this. I'm loving this conversation. What would you say are two truths that you've seen just in your coaching and your profession that maybe a lot of what is right? Maybe in the entrepreneur space that a lot of entrepreneurs don't want to deal with. What are two truths that you see that hinder them from even staying in business for a year? Because most businesses are gone within 5 years, right? Because they don't want to grow. They want to stay the way they are, and it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, I think one is you make a really good point. People want their business to grow, but they don't want to grow themselves. And so we go, I'm going to start a business because I have a great idea. Right. We think about what's a truth that we need to have in order to see ourselves successful. When I say successful, I don't just mean monetary. And there's nothing wrong with monetary success. That's what most of us are in the pursuit of, amongst many other things. But we go, I'm going to be really successful and I want to grow my business. And then you ask them, well, how are you growing? They say, well, I'm working on my business. I said, that's not what I asked you. I said, how are you growing? How are you investing in yourself and others? Well, I haven't. So I believe a hard truth of entrepreneurship is, if your business will grow at the rate by which you are willing to invest in yourself and others. And most of us don't want to accept that because that requires work that is not directly seen or applauded by anybody else. Yet the work that is typically not seen or applauded by anybody else tends to be the most life-changing work that we can have in our life, which we will see the fruit of every place else.
Wow.
So I think that's one when it comes specifically to entrepreneurs in business. Your business will grow at the rate by which you invest in yourself. Second is, and this is going to be a little oversimplified, but I really believe it's a truth that I find so often. Almost any story that we are telling ourselves that we believe is stopping us from living a life of deep conviction is typically a story that was told to us by someone else, not a story we have written for ourselves. And we are utilizing somebody else's story to live out our days. And it's inhibiting us from pursuing or rewriting a new chapter in our own book.
Wow. That's powerful right there. Because if you think about it, What if the story wasn't even your mom or dad's story? What if it was their parents' story, and then their parents' story, and you're believing a story from maybe 100 years ago?
I mean, think about,
Is that what came to mind?
listen, you're the one that said this. I'm almost 100%. It was you when you were speaking in El Paso, right? You had everybody kind of go through these mantras, and you had these phrases, and you waited for everybody in the audience to finish the phrase, right? Like, money doesn't grow on
Trees.
That's right. And you walked us through these things, and everybody in the room knew what we were supposed to say, right? Why? That's because those are stories we have inherited from somebody else. Let's just use that one because it's easy. Money doesn't grow on trees. First of all, really, I didn't know that. Like, obviously, that's not the case. Why would we even say that? We say that because that's a protective mechanism that allows us to go, I had the opportunity to play it safe because my dad, my grandpa, my great grandpa, my cousin, my mom, my aunt, my sister, my friend, said money doesn't grow on trees. Therefore, when you get it, you better protect it. You better keep it. You better save it. You better never spend it, never invest it, never do anything with it because it doesn't grow on trees. And if it doesn't grow on trees, you may never get any again. And so without even knowing it, we jump into this mindset of scarcity. There's only so much and there's a finite amount and there's never enough for you. Now, that's an easy one because we all know the phrase money doesn't grow on trees, right? But what about you overthink everything? What about you're too kind? What about, oh, you're a pushover? What about, oh, you're too intense? What about, oh, calm down? Oh, what about you work too hard? Oh, you want too much. Oh, you're just too optimistic. Oh, you're too pessimistic. Oh, you're weak. The list could go on for days, and the podcast would be 6 hours long if we come up with all the ways, right?
You said a good one there, because you said, I believe you brought that one up on the mastermind that we were at, was you're too intense.
Yep.
Well, maybe you're just too lazy.
Maybe. I mean, here's the thing. Here's what I want you to do if you're listening right now. Think about a story that someone's told you about you. Just really quick. It takes you 10 seconds. Everybody's got one that comes to the top of mind. Write it down in your paper, your notes, or whatever. Keep in your mind if you're driving or working out. Do a couple more bicep curls and think about a story somebody told you. However you're listening to the show right now. And whatever that is, I could almost guarantee you the person who told you that story was the opposite of the story they told you. Right? We talked about this in the mastermind. People tell me all the time, Rocky, you're so intense. You're too intense. You know who's never told me I'm too intense? Somebody who was intense.
Yes.
It's never been said.
Somebody who had a passion or to do something, make something of themselves, right?
That's right. No one's ever said that to me. That person, Daniel Gomez, has never said, Rocky, calm down. Rocky, it's too much. Rocky, you want too many things. Daniel's never said that to me. Why? Because he doesn't believe that about me, because he wants the same thing. There is no such thing as too intense. There's degrees of intensity based on your talents, your skills, your beliefs, what you do, your profession. Sure. Can an elementary school counselor carry the same intensity that a professional keynote speaker who speaks to entrepreneurs can? No, that would be ridiculous. They would make a terrible counselor. But you're going to tell me that to be an elementary school counselor in public education, there's not a level of conviction and belief and intensity you have to carry about what you're doing to make an impact in a 7-year-old's life? Come on now.
It's a word. So think about this. Think about what Rocky's saying, ladies and gentlemen. Has anybody ever told you that? You're too intense. You're too kind. You're too nice. What is it that somebody's told you that you're believing that is not even truth, but you've embodied it? It's part of who you are. And the worst thing now, you made it a habit and you don't even realize you made it a habit. So think about this. We'll just say somebody told you you're too intense. For that entrepreneur listening out there, you're too intense. So you go to a networking event, it triggers your mind. So instead of going out there and letting people know, hey, this is what I do, I'm new. Oh, I don't want to be too intense. Let me just stay on my table and I'll wait for people to come up to me. And they go to the networking event, invest their time, invest everything they have, and nothing happens. And then they say, well, business is just slow. No, maybe you got to change that mindset from I'm too intense, that lie that you're believing, to say, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to engage. You know, I heard something. I just came back from Denver, Colorado, and I got a lot of good takeaways. I was pumped up because this gentleman said this. He goes, Daniel, even if I don't speak, when I go to a conference, I am earning $20,000 when I go to that conference. Simple as that. My mindset is every conference I travel to, whether it's here, California, I'm going to earn $20,000. And he goes, you know, Daniel, it's not many times that I don't hit it or exceed it or come close to it. And it spoke to me because I'm like, we have the mindset that, yes, you want to go engage and meet beautiful people, but if you really there's people out there, when you realize what Rocky's saying, that you're passionate about what you're doing, you're not intense, but there's people out there that need Rocky. There's people out there that need Daniel. There's people out there, you're listening right now and they need you. Maybe you're a branding coach. Maybe you're a baker, whatever you do. Somebody, you're the problem, right? You're the problem solver for those people. And if you don't let people know what you're doing and you believing that I'm too intense and you're staying in the corner, you're staying in the safe zone, you're costing really what you're saying is, and correct me if I'm wrong, give me your perspective on this, Rocky, is you're really saying, you know what, I'm selfish. So I don't want to, I want to be selfish and think about my own feelings because I don't want to be too intense. So I don't feel like helping people today. What, give me your spin on that, man, because I'm loving this conversation.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're exactly right. The amount of times that we go into situations, 1, with no plan, 2, with no goal, and 3, with no language, but we expect a result we've yet to define.
Unknown
So
caller.
if you can't identify who you are, right, then it's going to be really hard to figure out, if I go someplace, how am I supposed to show up? Well, how do you describe what you do? How do you describe what your profession is? How do you describe what you value? What are your strengths? Are you a person that if you sit at the table, you attract people? Are you a person that you need to be in front of the table? When we were at this most recent event, we scrapped the table altogether and I said, give me 2 chairs and a coffee table. I don't want a table and I don't want a booth. Not because there's anything wrong with tables and booths. I'm not a table and booth kind of guy. You, Daniel Gomez, him and his wife, they crush a table. Their table setup, their background, what they're giving out, their book, they had people at their table the entire time. When I have ever done that, it is a massive flop and no one comes to my table. However, when I set up 2 chairs and a coffee table and I just sit down with some water or coffee and let people come up one by one and come sit next to me, it's lights out. Every person that sits down is getting value and they're spending money and they're buying something. Why? Because that's how I communicate. I got to make people feel like we can have a one-on-one and in less than 2 minutes, I can get to the root of your problem and help you find a solution. Now, that's not me being prideful. That's not me being egotistical. That's not me being arrogant. I'm telling you, I'm 40 years old. I've done this for a little while now, and I know where my sweet spot is, right? It's 60 minutes on a stage or less is hard for me. And if you're listening, you're a keynote speaker, like some people thrive in that. Some people thrive. Daniel crushes 45 minutes, 30 minutes. He gets it going. The lower the time, the greater struggle it is for Rocky to get his message across. You give me 6 hours, bro, it's game over. Nobody can touch me. Now, I know that sounds ludicrous because nobody wants to sit for 6 hours, but I'm telling you, if you can give me 6 hours, I can help you change your life. But that doesn't mean that Rocky thinks he's the best in the world. All that means is that Rocky is working diligently and consistently to find where am I most effective. But I go in with a plan and I go in with language to describe who I am and I have a result that I'm looking for. And I think most of us, we tend to sell ourselves short. You used 2 words earlier that I really appreciate, but I'm going to come back to them and give us a third one because I think the third one will resonate with folks who hear the first 2 and think it's not them. You said typically what gets in the way is our pride or our ego. And I think the third word we're missing is fear, because pride and ego are simply a manifestation of fear. We've just learned to mask that fear and make it tough, right? And so we have this fear that we go, well, and people go, I'm not afraid of nothing. I already know you are simply by the way you answered the question. Yes, you are. You are so afraid of the reality of who you are. So you manifest ego because you wanted to see what you could do or what you thought. And you think if you can show up and be big and bad, then everyone will only see that aspect of you. And you're selling yourself short because there's nothing for me to connect to if you walk into the room and you tell me you're the best that ever existed.
Wow.
So our ability to be able to say, like, I always communicate in myself and with others and the people that I coach or I lead or I speak or I'm on pod, whatever it is, great. There's a difference in being a great leader and being a great coach and being a great manager. All those are different and they're not the same, right? And when it comes to leading, I believe, excuse me, when it comes to leading, it's almost impossible to lead someone if you're not still close enough to them that when you reach back, they can't still grab your hand. See, managing someone is teaching someone how to walk on their own. That's not leadership. It's management. And both are beautiful things, but they're very different. For me to manage someone is for me to equip them to give them the tools and resources to forge their own path and watch them be successful. For me to lead someone is to forge the path for them and to ask them to follow alongside me or with me. But I have to remain close enough that at any moment's notice, I can turn around. And when I extend my hand, I must remain close enough for them to be able to grab my hand and pull them forward. But our ability to see that in ourselves means we have to recognize what fear is. We have to recognize what ego or pride is. You can't lead someone with ego or pride. It doesn't happen. It doesn't work. You will end up by yourself, because when someone says, I need you, you say, no, you don't. You can do it. And we think we're motivating them. We think we're inspiring them. We think we're pumping them up. But what we're doing is we're neglecting to hear who they are as a human and offer the opportunity to engage them where they are. Leadership says, I see that you cannot walk any longer. Shall I carry you? Ego says, yes, you can. Get up. And if you don't, you're a punk. Now, we may not say it that way, but our actions make people feel that way. And so I think a lot of times in business, in marriage, in friendship, in parenting.
Hold up. I want to parent. So you know what came to mind when you said that? I thought of a little kid that's running down, playing. They fall down, they scrape their knee, bloody right? They really hurt themselves. And the mom or dad says, get up, come on, scrape it off. Be tough. You're okay. That's kind of what came to mind with what you just said. And then we learned that, right? So we learned that. Does that hinder us, you believe, as adults?
I believe that it hinders us if we are told, don't cry because crying is bad. That hinders us. Don't communicate how you feel because feelings are bad. That hinders us. Communicating, life is going to hurt you and knock you down, and show me that you have the ability to get up when it hurts. Oh, now that's beautiful. But the only way I know to get up if it hurts is that someone has to acknowledge that it hurts. Don't tell me that it's not. Don't tell me I'm not hurt. I'm bleeding, bro. My leg is bleeding. But how can I address my wounds if I don't dress my wounds? And to pretend I don't have wounds, I'm just going to bleed the rest of my life. So like the amount of times I see, and there are moments, oh my dude, you're getting me fired. There are moments I get visceral. I'm at the park, I'm with my kids, and I see somebody, stop crying, get over it. Okay. I know what you're trying to do, but you are removing the opportunity to actually show what to do with hurt and pain and feeling and difficulty and objection. We're losing the opportunity to teach our children what to do with that. And I'm not saying to coddle them and to tell them that they're oh, it's okay. And okay, I get it. But the reality is that most of the time when a person, and typically it's fathers, when a father says, suck it up and don't cry, it is a greater representation of the fear that a father carries that he's going to be a bad father than it is trying to communicate to their child who they should become as an adult.
Boom, baby. Listen to that. Say that again. That was good. Say that again. Right.
Like when you see, and I'm going to pick on fathers for a second. If you're a dad and you disagree with me, shoot me a DM and we can talk about it. But I'm telling you, when you see a father at the park with his child and they say, stop crying, get over it, get up. Right? And it's that tone. You see their face. You know what I'm talking about, right? Don't cry. Come on. Don't be a little punk. Don't be a wuss. That is a greater representation of the fear that the father carries about how he's going to be perceived as a dad than it is about what he's trying to teach his child about who they are to become as a human. And look in your business, look in your relationships, look in your friends, look in your family. How often are you communicating out of what you believe to be a fear of how you are going to be perceived, rather than communicating out of a conviction of what you believe you have the capacity to empower those around you to become?
That's powerful, man. Wow. That's a lot of wisdom right there. So think about this, ladies and gentlemen. And I think maybe this is where it needs to go. Where in your parenting do you need to change? This isn't a parenting podcast, but I think you need to understand, because the way you do something is the way you do everything. So if you're parenting your kids a certain way, maybe you're using that same approach towards your vendors. If you're a business owner, maybe you're treating your employees the same way, and we don't even realize it. Because the way you do something, like I said, is the way you do everything. And if you're not being a supportive role that you need for your kids, maybe you're not being that supportive role you need to be for your employees. Maybe you're not being that supportive role for yourself. Maybe you're beating yourself up. You're not happy because you're not taking time to just be kind to yourself and letting yourself cry. Sometimes it happens that way. Sometimes you just need, I don't know what I was doing. And all of a sudden, like, I just teared up and I just started thinking about my dad. Right. And I was just like, man, if you could just see me now. And I just teared up, but I let myself cry because it's like, my dad's not alive. And sometimes instead of letting those emotions out, we suppress them. And it's not healthy. It's not good. It's not good for our hearts. It's not good for our mind. It's not good for our body. It's not good for anything.
Yep. Yeah, the phrase I use a lot with and I love that we're going the route thinking about kids and being parents. And I tell this to my daughter a lot, but we all really know I'm just talking to myself, right? It's just that's what kids do for you. But I tell my daughter all the time, I said, baby, we call her mama is what we call her, just, come here, mama. And so I tell her all the time, I say, come here, mama, sit down. Let me tell you something. Are you upset? Yes. So are you mad? Yes. Are you mad at daddy? Yes. Okay. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be upset. Those are normal things. But here's what I want you and me to work on together. You and me both. Okay? Okay. I love that we have feelings. But when we let our feelings control our body, we lose control of our feelings. And I want our feelings and I want our emotions to be guides for us. I want us to help us understand where we should go and what we should do and how we feel. It's really important for us to know that together. But we can't let it control our body. Because when we let our emotions control our body, then we totally lose control of ourselves. And I think the same is true for adults. Because really, I'm just talking to myself. I'm going, Rocky, your kid is out of control. They've lost control of themselves emotionally, right? And how do I expect to rein them back into better understanding themselves if I'm going to also lose control? It's not going to work, right? An out of control person is never going to bring an out of control person back into control. It's impossible. Like a person in chaos is never going to bring another person from chaos back into peace by being in chaos. It's not how it works.
It's kind of, what comes to mind, the picture that comes to my mind right now is somebody's drowning and you don't have a floaty. You try to jump in there and save them from drowning. Well, then there's a good likelihood that they're going to kind of cause you to drown because they're in that chaos and pushing you down. You're trying to help them up, but instead of one person kind of going under, it's two because you don't have the support. That's kind of what came to mind with that.
100%. 100%.
Wow. So let me ask you this. You speak and travel all over the world. You do amazing things. What is the best business advice that you've ever received? What are two golden nuggets that you would love to share with the Daniel Gomez Inspires audience that you've received in reference to business?
Great question. Great question. What two golden nuggets have I received? Good business advice or good life advice? Well, I'd say one is from a mentor of mine. And he says, control what you can control. Today, control what you can control. The more that we spend time thinking about yesterday, the more paralyzed we become today. And the more time we spend anxiously awaiting tomorrow, we waste the opportunity to engage today. So control what you can control. I know you're upset about the deal you lost yesterday, and I know you're nervous about that big one you're going to close tomorrow. But you can't control either one of those. What you can control is what you do today. So what will you do today? You said it earlier, how you do anything is how you do everything. I believe if you want to change your life, you need to change your daily habits. It's the only way it gets different. And so number one, I would say in every aspect, in your marriage, as a parent, as a friend, as a family, in a partnership, in business and sales, marketing, branding, control what you can control. That means get really clear about what you actually have the ability to make an impact on. I would say number two, spend as much time as you need getting very clear about what you want. Because if you don't know what you want, no one can help you get there. And if you don't know what you want, no one can help keep you accountable to getting to that place. Because accountability is simply being reminded of what we want, which is why most of us hate accountability, because we are not being reminded of what we want. We are simply being shamed into being reminded of what we don't.
Would you say, on that note, would you say that people want something that they don't even really want? Because would you say
Yes. The answer to that is yes. Most people are pursuing something they don't actually want in life because they've never stopped long enough to determine what it really should be.
Right. I think of high school days when you were part of the football team or a cheerleader, right? You never really go eat where you want to go eat for lunch. You never do what you want to do. It's a group. It's a group or the leader's decision.
That's right.
And then you learn how to settle because you're in that environment. Do you think we carry that into our adulthood?
100%. 100%. Living a life of deep conviction is very hard. I didn't say that it was bad. I just said that it's very hard because it requires for us to live unapologetically. Unapologetically doesn't mean without remorse of others. Unapologetically means that we will not lay a disclaimer or an apology before we say what we believe is true out of the fear that someone won't like us. It's really hard, but I don't know of another way to encourage you to live unless you can do the work and go back to the beginning. Invest in yourself if you want to grow your business so you can have a deep conviction about what you believe. No one is doing business like Daniel Gomez is doing business. I remember meeting Daniel in 2020. We spoke on a live virtual webinar. That's how I met him the first time, and it was pandemic, and none of us knew what we were doing, and somebody asked us to speak, and we both said yes, and we got there. And I remember at that point, Daniel was not even remotely close to where he is today. That was only 3 years ago. He didn't have what he had. He didn't have the book yet. He didn't have nothing that he has now. He didn't have 3 years ago. And 3 years is not very long, especially when 2 of that was through a global pandemic. But he controlled what he could control. He made a decision every day that what he was going to do with his life. He was impacting his children. He was impacting his wife. He was impacting how they were doing and what he was doing. And he knew every day showing up, controlling what he could control, and having a deep conviction, not asking every single person to be exactly like him or to do like him, but not ever willing to jeopardize what he deeply believed. And he's got more money in his bank today than he's ever had. He's got more people and more clients than he's ever had. He's doing more work, more business, more speaking engagements, and more stages today than he ever has his entire life. And you will not meet a person who stands and walks confidently in the deep conviction of what they believe than Daniel Gomez. And if that's not a walking picture of what it is that we are describing, you're literally listening to the man's podcast because he said, I have a deep belief about what I'm doing and why it matters. And you don't have to believe like me and do like me and act like me. However, I'm going to act like this, do like this, and be like this. And if it resonates with you, I'd love to walk with you. And that's what we mean by living a life of deep conviction. In less than 36 months, everything can change.
Wow. That was powerful, brother. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. You don't realize how much people want their life to change, but instead of really going after it or just really, this is what comes to mind, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to ask this question to yourself. Write it down. Am I really living the life I want? Am I really living the life I want? Not your parents want, not your friends want, not what somebody else wants, that you want. And are you being the person you want to be? And just listening to Rocky describe me from the outside, I'm like, man, sometimes we don't realize what we've done. We don't realize what we've accomplished. People are watching you and you don't even realize it. Because I never even knew that about Rocky's never shared that with me before. So I share that with you, ladies and gentlemen, because what are you living on a daily basis? What are you giving people to see? And not that you're doing it for an audience, but are you being true to yourself? And one thing I always say, Rocky, just from what you said, I just always talk about God, right? I mean, of course, when I go to corporate America, I'm not allowed to talk about God because it's just, that's part of the contract stipulations a lot of times that we sign. But I mean, that's just part of my brand of who I am and what I do. And even before the moment, Angel was there and like, he told Ruben, I think we need to pray. I said, let's pray. Come on. You said my language. And we got everybody together. And I mean, it was an amazing event, but I truly believe those small opportunities that come up, God sees that. And we either step out in boldness and we walk in what we want or what we believe and we do it and because we're convicted, or we don't. And many times we compromise, right? Think about this. You're listening to this and you're compromising your values. You're compromising who you really are to make other people happy that don't really care about you. And then you lose your identity in the process and you're doing things that you don't even want to do because you're still subconsciously or habitually, like Rocky says, is you're habitually living a life that is not really your life.
That's right. That's right.
Wow, man. What is the biggest hurdle you had to overcome, brother, in life?
Myself.
What was it?
The belief that I could not be an incredible husband, an incredible father, and an incredible businessman all at the same time. I wanted nothing more than to be a great husband and a great father. And I was deeply convicted, still am about that. And I was unwilling to jeopardize that. but that was inhibiting my ability to create a great business and impact people because I was so afraid that if I did one, I was going to lose the other. And I had to get over myself. I had to get over the fact that I was believing a story by watching other people that I was watching the wrong folks. It's actually absolutely possible, but I had not defined clearly what I wanted. I had not defined clearly what I actually meant by good husband, good father, good businessman. And so I was taking the extreme of all those versions and watching, well, you can't have three extremes exist in the same place. And that's true. But I wasn't trying to accomplish three extremes. I was trying to accomplish three significant things that I deeply believed in. And when I finally stopped and paused long enough to really define them and write them down every day and think about them and look at them, all of a sudden I realized it was totally possible. But the greatest obstacle I've ever had to overcome in my life is myself, my limiting belief, the things I think I cannot do, the things I think I'm only able to do, the things I think it's not possible for me to do. And giving myself the opportunity, both the space to assess what is true and the grace that says if it doesn't work out, there's always another opportunity, that there's plenty out there. Stop thinking there's only a finite amount of whatever that thing is: love, care, ability, conviction, talent, skills, money, resources. There's plenty. Most of us don't pursue it because we don't know what we want.
So if someone's listening to this episode right now, they're saying, Rocky, that's awesome, but I tried it, I can't do it. What is an action step that you purposely took to overcome a limiting belief that you had to do away with? What's somebody can start doing today after they go back and study their notes? Rocky said, do this. You know what? I believe it because I can hear his passion. I'm going to do it.
Yep. So I got three things. I got three different resources for you, from free to not free. Okay. First one is, get out a piece of paper, make a list that says my name is, write your name down, and then say, I want. And I want you to write down everything you can think of for 30 minutes. Just make a list, write it all down. When you've exhausted that list, put it away and don't come back to it for 24 hours. In 24 hours, come back and look at that list again, and then cross off everything on that list that you don't actually want. You're going to be left with about 40 to 50% of your list. Then let it sit for another 24 hours. Come back 24 hours later, open that list and cross off everything on that list that you don't want. And you're going to be left with about 25% of your list. For most of us, that's 5 to 10 things. That's step one. Get clear on the 5 to 10 things in life that you really want. Don't try to fix it. Don't try to solve it. Don't come up with an action plan, or don't hire somebody, or don't just get really clear about it. And then sit on those 5 to 10 things for 36 to 72 hours and see if it really lands. If you check it again, we're 5 days in now and you still want those 5 to 10 things, we're in a better spot. At that point, call somebody. Daniel's got a free link. I got a free link. There's plenty of people out there that got a free link. Call your friend, call your cousin, somebody you trust, and say, this is what I want. Share it with someone. Don't do anything yet. Just share it. Just put it out there. Say it out loud for the first time. You'll know whether or not you want it, but you got to have a first step to figure out what that is. That's my first one. My second one is go to Instagram. There's a link in my bio. It's a free downloadable, the ABCs to building better confidence. Some of us need to get over ourselves because we don't know what we want yet. And that list is going to be too overwhelming. We don't even know where to start because we don't think we're worthy and valuable of anything. Great. Let's do that. Go download the ABCs of confidence. How to get there. What do I need to do? What are 3 easy steps and 6 easy questions I can ask myself? It's free. It exists for you. Go get it. If you want to do the work, great. If you don't, great. It's totally up to you. And then lastly, if you really want to do work, you really want to get into it and do it, you can go to beconfidentbook.com. You can get a copy of a book called Killing Doubt, Build Conviction. And you're going to really do some work. It's not like a reading book that you're just going to read and breeze through. You get every chapter, you got some things you got to get into and you got to figure out. But to me, those are 3 very, very simple, not easy, but simple ways to really figure out, how do I get to where I want to do and what's something I can do now? Well, everybody owns a pen and a paper. Make a list of what you want. Everybody's got a good friend. Share it with somebody. Everybody's got Instagram. Go find the link and download it. And most of us have $20. Go get a copy of the book and really do some deep work if you want to. And in all of that, there are people in your life, including Daniel and myself. We both have free links. We both have a link that you can schedule a free 10 minute call with us just to get the ball rolling. The opportunity is yours. The chances are in your hands. You have a chance to do something and change your life today. But if you want to change anything, you got to change something you do daily. And maybe today is the day you take a little action.
Boom, baby. Woo! Rocky Garza. Rocky, what's a scripture or a quote that you rely on times of adversity? A scripture or a quote that you fall back on when those days are just character building?
I think the single thing that I go back to, and it's both. It's a quote and it's from scripture. I would say that a phrase that I come back to is, there's a variety of ways to do it. The scriptural one would be that when God is done designing man, he says, he looks at what he's created and he says, it is good. I think the phrase that I've kind of adopted from that in my own life is, you are good. That's it. Just 3 words. You are good. Without the ability to acknowledge that there is a deep inherent value and goodness in us, regardless if you're a person of Christian faith or not. I believe for all people and all humanity, every individual is good. We are good, I believe, because we're made and created in the image of God. But if that's not what you believe, I still believe you're good. I still believe you're valuable. I still believe that you're worthy. Most of us, most days, would benefit from coming back to the simple truth that we are good.
Love that, brother. How do we get a hold of you, man?
Yeah. So hit me up. There's not a lot of bald guys out there with these big ass glasses. So you can hit me up on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok. It's just at Rocky Garza. There's not a bunch of me out there. Hit me up on any of those platforms. The easiest one is to follow me on Instagram first. Everything you need to know, links are there to get to everything. And again, I'd love to talk to you. So if you're listening to the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show and there's anything I can do for you, don't hesitate. Follow me on Instagram, smash the link in the bios, book a quick call, clarity call with me. I'd love to chat with you on the phone. I got 30 minutes for anybody in the world. So I'd love to do that if that's something you're interested in.
So much value, Rocky. Ladies and gentlemen, what's your big takeaway from the day? Think about everything we talked about. What's the belief that you need to change within yourself? Maybe you need to allow yourself to cry. Maybe you need to allow yourself to not suppress the emotions anymore and let all that toxic hurt out. Or maybe you're the one that you need to be, like what he said to his daughter, don't allow your feelings to control you. Really take a moment and study your notes, go back and assess what you wrote down, and be honest with yourself. And Rocky, again, thank you, my brother. This has been an amazing, amazing show. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here today. Without you, without our audience, there would be no show. We wouldn't be one of the top podcasts in the world out of over 3 million. So thank you for being here with us again. And if you're stuck in life, if you're stuck in business, go to the DanielGomezGlobal.com. That's DanielGomezGlobal.com. And do our entrepreneur's assessment. We want to pour into you. And don't forget to text the word millionaire to 942-5059. That's text the word millionaire to 210-942-5059. And if you're that aspiring speaker, we want to see you at our Sticker Shock Speaking Academy. We hold it every 6 months. Our next one's going to be September 8th and 9th here in San Antonio. We want to help you. We want to pour into you. Don't forget, go to Audible. Our book is available now on Audible. We want to pour into you with that. This book is changing life. We've sold thousands and thousands of copies. Don't go out about it, right? Sometimes a sponsored investment in a book can change your life. Until next week, everybody, we'll see you here with another guest like Rocky Garza, an amazing human being, next week on a Daniel Gomez Inspires show. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Rocky.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
This is Daniel Gomez Inspires, and thank you for listening to our show today. Please share this episode with a friend, leave us a review, and subscribe to our show. And for listening to our show today, I want to give you a free gift. I want to invite you to our Millionaire Mind community. Text the word millionaire, that's millionaire, to 210-942-5059. Yes, join our community today and receive millionaire affirmations, inspirational quotes on a weekly basis. That's 210-942-5059. Text the word millionaire today and join our community. And once again, thank you for listening to our show.